Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. And welcome today. And Don Jessup, he'll be back here, but he was called away to that board of directors meeting for the marketing meeting down there they have at BJ's. And it was interesting to get an opportunity to speak with you a little bit earlier and get to know you. These two people I already know. We talk all the time. One of the things that I like to talk about, and this was a great point you brought up, Lorelei, because since we're talking about how to build a sustainable business model, what does that take? And Lorelei had the answer. Answer was, she goes, we all know what to do. We all know what to do. We're just not doing it. So what I will share with you today are some ideas, and knowing what to do and doing it are two entirely different things, right? Now,
I'm sorry, excuse me for interrupting. I apologize.
So John Wooden, who was the famous basketball coach at UCLA, one of his favorite sayings that I adopted was simply this: it's what you learn after you think you know it all that counts. He says, otherwise, you're just an educated idiot. So many times you run into people who seemingly have a wealth of information and they're not really doing anything with it. So I more lean toward the person who has maybe more of a minimal education but is highly motivated and inspired to go do it. So you've seen this because you've been in the business for how many years?
25.
25 years. So you've seen people come and go, and many times you can walk into any office on any given day and you will find some of the most brilliant, knowledgeable real estate agents you could ever run into. However, they're sometimes the very, very lowest producers. Then somebody else comes into the company, brand new, 2, 3, 4 weeks in the business, and they go, well, I talked to this person. They said they wanted me to come list the house. Can somebody tell me how to do a listing? and there's a pervasiveness of that does go on. So it's not so much how smart we are about things, but actually what we do apply. And what I want to talk about today in building the sustainable business model goes back to one thing. To build that model is based upon our habits, our attitudes, and our behaviors. Knowing what to do, as you said, Lorelei, is very, very significant and important. It is. But you also many times find yourself doing this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, business.
That's my life right there.
Yeah.
There we go.
Business is no good. Business is phenomenal. Business is no good. It's phenomenal. So people kind of almost have a love-hate relationship with their career, right? So Woody Allen, who probably not a popular name to mention now, but I still love his work, simply says this: people live their life between two extremes, horrible and terrible. Now I'm a tad more optimistic, but you see people doing that, So it does go back to this when what I'm talking about is not doing something in a spiking manner and then falling real hard again and then racing yourself back up to the top, but simply just be on a consistent growth mode. And so one of the things that I actually share in all my trainings is, look, if I were to say, could you get 1% better each day at what you do? And what would you answer?
Sure.
Of course. Yeah, 1%, that's easy. What does that 1% represent? Maybe it represents doing 15 minutes more follow-up calls to your database. Maybe it means returning the calls to people that you spoke to during that day or the previous day. It could be any number of things. Maybe writing out a few more thank you notes or something. It could be anything. But that 1% is pretty phenomenal, right? So let's just say, for the sake of conversation, that 1% per day, right? 1% per day, and let's say you're just working 5 days a week, and I know you're not, but let's just say it's 5 days. So all of a sudden, you have gotten 5% better for the week, right? Times 4 weeks, now you're 20% better for the entire month. Now you times it by 12 months, and you're 240% better for the year. Because if I told you you got to get 240% better for the year, you'd go, oh my God, there's no way I can do that. I'm overloaded as it is. But if we break it down, and we say 1% better each day, and stay committed to doing that, then that's what we'll achieve. So in building out this idea on building a sustainable business model, you can see the way I laid it out for you. There has to be a plan, there has to be a development stage, deploy stage, monitor, and then analyze. So on page number 2, we're going to talk about these points so you'll understand what they're all about. Number 1, your personal plan. What are the 3 behaviors you will adhere to each day? What are 3 behaviors that you would adhere to each day? Now, Lorelei, because you know what needs to be done, so...
Make 10 phone calls.
Okay, so write that down. In your case, is maybe make 10 phone calls. Maybe Lindsay is making 5 phone calls. Maybe for somebody else it's 20 phone calls. Doesn't matter what it is. It has to be your personal plan, something that you will be committed to and adhere to. Okay?
To sphere of influence.
Yes. So if we want to call it our SOI or COI, it doesn't make any difference. A rose by any other name would still smell as sweet. Right? So if it's going to be the 10 calls, when do you want to make those calls? What's the best productive time to make those calls?
I think late afternoon, but
Okay.
you know, a lot of people think in the morning.
Okay.
You know.
And so you would ask yourself one question. When I look at my sphere or my center, and you have to know who they are. If they're stay-at-home moms, that would be a perfect time to reach them, you know? If they're a working mom, then it's going to be towards the end of the afternoon, right? Or early part of the evening. And making those 10 calls isn't a big chunk of your time, is it? But you make 10 calls, okay? So you make those 10 calls, right? For 5 days, you've made 50 calls. Wow, that's huge. Times 4 weeks, that's 200 calls. Do you think you're going to write more business?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. No, not probably.
I know.
You will. Absolutely will do it. So that's one thing, okay? What's another behavior? Which is a prospecting follow-up?
So I writing notes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So if that's something to do, okay?
Talking on the phone and writing notes, that's about as basic as it gets from 25 years ago. It still works.
It still works. And there's a whole article, actually, that Carolyn found and passed to me that's saying old school is on the way back.
I saw that too.
Right? Which is kind of cool because I've been saying that because I've been doing these trainings for almost 38 years, so I've seen 4 cycles in the business. I've seen 4 cycles. So I've seen it where interest rates were astronomical, and I see them so low that everybody's worn out with it. I've seen the market where there was too much inventory, not enough inventory. It doesn't matter. What matters is, what is your plan of action and what will you adhere to? What will you adhere to? So what prevents us from doing that, Lorelei? Making the 10 calls a day or writing the notes? What gets in the way?
Whatever else you can find to not do it.
Okay.
So it's whatever busy work you think you have to do. You spend too long on the web, spend too long on your email.
Okay.
You know, and I think that's another thing is just planning time that you stay away from your computer.
Okay. So there is actually a fear involved, isn't there?
Oh, yeah.
And even though it could be your fear, it could still be a fear of rejection, right? Do you think it's a fear
It's
of...
always in your mind. I mean, it's always in your mind. Oh, what if I call him and blah, 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 blah. And, you know, and the reality is I've never had anybody hang the phone up on me.
No,
you know,
no. And so if you take so what's the acronym for the word fear? Anybody?
Faith.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
The positive one?
Well, you know the positive one because you've been in my trainings. I know. I remember that one. So you'll hear it like this: false evidence appearing real, fear everything and run, or the Rogerism, which is...
Oh, that's it. Oh, face everything and rise.
face everything and rise. Okay? So just like your hand, you have 2 options. So which one do you want to feed the most with your thought processes? Because thoughts are energy. So when you talk about the sustainable business model here, first thing you got to do is get back to your behavior. Because everything, there's a whole cause and effect that comes into play. And most people are always working on the effect of something rather than the cause. And if you're familiar with our good friend Aristotle, he tells us that the effect of something can never be greater than the cause, right? So what holds us back, and this is going to kind of sound strange to you here, but the reason those calls aren't made goes all the way back to when we were kids. And you might have remembered your mom or dad saying, be seen and not heard, don't go where you're not wanted, only speak when you're spoken to, and never, never, ever speak to strangers.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, here's what goes on with that. You heard that message in excess of 10,000 times by age 12. And you wonder why you're not inspired to tell people what you do. See? So what happens is this fear today still holds people back from achieving what they really want to achieve. Therefore, the plan goes to hell in a handbag. You've been working for several companies over the years, and I know this for a fact. You go to the company, whatever that company is, and every year you're required to give them a business plan, which you scribble down the night before. And the manager accepts it, and that's about the last time you ever see it or review it. Well, the truth is, unless we start dealing with behaviors, we can't build a plan. The same thing, no plan, fail by default, right? So part of the thing is, the number one here is to recognize the three behaviors. Now the last, letter C, would be this. I'm going to say a very, very nasty, dirty word to you. Self-discipline. I know. I know. We must become friends with self-discipline.
And structure.
Yeah, and there's value
That's
to...
the hardest thing in this business, because you can do whatever you want, whenever you want.
Well, remember I said earlier, I said, this young lady here says, you have too forgiving of a boss.
Right.
And that's why when people, engage in my trainings and the strategic coaching work I do, I'm always at an arm's length, because you don't get to make excuses. They're not going to get you where you want to go. If you want more of the same, keep doing what you're doing. You want things to shift, then people get involved with me. And so when you see people doubling, tripling, quadrupling their income, working less hours, having more fun, you're not as irritable, they're enjoying their time away, then it becomes something that is of great value. So one of the things is to realize that, so if it's going to be, in your case, 10 calls a day and or notes, structure, right? And what goes hand in hand with that is discipline. That's the plan. So then you have to ask yourself, number two, develop. What objectives do you want to achieve? What's your objective?
More money, more free time.
Okay. So we want more money. We want more free time. Right? Yes?
I want more satisfaction that I'm doing the right thing.
More satisfaction. Okay, what else? Lindsay?
Traveling, you want to expand your web.
Okay. So travel.
More rewards.
Rewards. Connect. Now, that's interesting. More connections. Most people, I don't know, did you say connections or was that your mom? You said it? Okay. It's a brilliant statement because people don't talk about connections, they talk about making contacts. And there's a big difference between contacting somebody and connecting with them. Okay? So, let me share something with you that I think you'll find amazing. Do you know 100 people?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. You're pretty new to the business with your mom? Okay, how long?
About a year.
Formally, like a year.
A year?
Always
Okay.
been there.
Let me ask you something, if anybody's ever broached this with you. Have you sent out 100 letters to these people telling them that you're in real estate?
We did a, like, announcement, but not any kind of letter direct or anything, but we did send out announcements.
How many times?
Just once.
Oh. And then they just faded into the background, right? And then maybe you're searching around in the MLS one day and you see your friend's name and they listed their home, but it's not with you, right? So, I want to share this with you on the development. Under letter A, consistency. You must be consistent. Without it, what happens?
Fades away.
Fades away. Fades away. And you become the proverbial secret agent. Nobody knows you're around, right? So, now compared to your mother who has 25 years, I'm sure at one time or another, she sold a home to someone, and then all of a sudden she's looking in the MLS one day, sees that same property, and she goes, well, why didn't they call me? Right?
What was their name again?
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. And they literally forgot about you. Even though when you got them the home, they loved you. They gave you gifts, sent you flowers, did this, did that, did the other thing. Oh my God, I'm going to tell you everybody about you.
I think the thing that we're guilty of is sending out, like we have a magazine that goes out. We have all these things that go out to our database. But it's still back to make those damn 10 phone calls. You can send stuff, people remember you, but it's still, you're going to get the referrals the next day after you talk to them.
Okay. So here's the thing to realize. And somebody was kind enough, a dear friend of mine posted something on Facebook a couple of weeks ago about me, and I had no idea he was going to do this, but he said, Roger's the Dos Equis guy, and he writes this big piece, I'm going, wow, Jack, I pinged him back, that was really nice, man. And because I like to use that as a metaphor. So the Dos Equis commercial, right? The most interesting man in the world. Let me share something with you that's very, very fascinating. Dos Equis did not have a multi-million-dollar advertising budget the way Bud or Miller or anybody else does. So when the whole world's going right, they went left. And they created a campaign around this grainy 8mm film that they manufactured, him playing high life, and then into his 30s, into his 40s, into his 50s, right? And then he's sitting down at his table with, a couple of young girls and so forth, and he says, he's the most interesting man in the world, right? That he often doesn't drink beer, but when he does, he drinks Dos Equis, right? And the ad campaign was brilliant because it was in a matter of 6 or 8 months, their revenue increased 64%. So I ripped a page out of Seth Godin's book, who wrote, and he's a master on marketing, and he says, he wrote a book called The Purple Cow. And he says, if you don't distinguish yourself from others, you become extinct. So what's the idea of the purple cow? Well, then you fit in with the rest of the Holsteins. Nobody differentiates yourself. So I said this to a gentleman who was in one of the classes I had that I was doing up in San Francisco, one of the workshops. And so he said, Roger, he said, did you see all those pictures? He just came off a big holiday and he was in Rome and Paris and he was in China. And so he's showing me all these pictures. And here's a picture of the Colosseum. And he goes, I really like the idea about making myself distinct. And I don't want to just send a postcard out that looks like every other generic postcard. You just take this company's name off and put this one on. It's the same thing. So he says, what do you think? And I said, well, I got an idea for you, Alan. I said, I love this picture of the Roman Colosseum. Why don't you put that picture up in the corner of your postcard and right next to it, put, look what I just listed. If I can list this, I can sell your home. And he got so much return on his investment. People were just saying the same thing that you're saying. See how it just made you feel warm and fuzzy? And the next thing he did the Eiffel Tower. Then the next thing he did the Great Wall of China. right? And you can do these things that separate you from everybody else because we get the same postcards that come to my home.
Neighborhood update all the time.
And you know where it goes? Right into the shredder. I don't even look at it because there's nothing distinctive about it. But when he sent that to me, I saw it and I went, oh man, this is great, right? And it's a great caption. So I want you to think about how you distinguish yourself from your competition. Okay? That's part of your development process. So the objective is you want to be eye-catching.
It's branding.
Yourself. Yeah, you want to brand yourself. Then when I'm talking about the most interesting guy in the world, right? This is kind of cool. Isn't he about the most Hispanic-looking guy you've ever seen? Huh? No?
I don't think the guy that's in the commercial.
Yeah.
He's kind of light-skinned.
Yeah.
Well, he's
Right
Like a Spaniard.
like a Spaniard
Yeah.
guy, but you
Like a
kind of get
Spaniard, not-
in that realm, right?
Yeah.
For sure. Okay, and here's the bottom line. He's a Jew and he lives in Virginia. Isn't that funny? So the idea is, whatever it is that, and however you're going to separate yourself from the competition is to take a look at what you're now doing and then think about, what would separate me branding-wise that would make me stand out. So when I said earlier, Lindsay, about there's 100 people and you sent out an announcement note 1 year ago, right? Now, let me ask you this question. Of those 100 people, Lindsay, how many would you consider to be AAA people you really know well?
We actually sent it out to
It was just to my database, it wasn't
yeah,
to her.
The neighborhood.
Okay. How about people that you know?
No
She
one's
hasn't created a
buying-
database
yeah.
yet, yeah.
No one my niece at this point yet. We're,
So it's
Thing.
more the parents and,
Yeah.
but, I mean, that's a database I've suggested that she works on is with, her friends' parents, but, she's at this point where the kids are away from home, it's just, it's
Okay.
always work.
Okay, so if you're going to work your mom's database, all right, and say you took your mom's database, and I don't know how many you got in there, but I'm just going to arbitrarily say there's 100 people. Of those 100 people, how many are AAA people?
50.
50? Okay. So you know what? You need to reach those people twice a month. Twice a month. How about double A's?
Probably another 40 or 50.
Okay.
And then the people I don't really ever want to talk to again, but I keep in the database, is probably another 100.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to tell you something. You do this right here. You take a look at this, almost 100 people. And I can tell you something. Every 100 people you send to, one of those people is going to send you a deal, a referral. But you need to do something that most people don't tend to do real estate-wise. If you're looking to build a sustainable business model, a sustainable income, then what you have to do is reach these people twice a month. So how could you do it? Well, one way is mailing them something. These people who are your AAA people, you know these people intimately well, okay? You need to give them something. This is your marketing. You have to give before you get, right? So you give them something. Give them something that's unique, different. You know their personalities. So my idea is for you to make file folders with their names on them, right? And then so they get a piece from you once a month, and they get a telephone call from you. Now, what are you going to say on the call?
Hi, how's Johnny? How was that school thing you did last week?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
Not
you know,
enough. Do you know anybody that wants to sell?
right. It has to be something personal. The more personal you are with people, the more they respond to you. Okay? Because you can't keep always asking for business. Then they feel, well, the only thing you're asking me for is business. You're not asking me anything about what's going on with me, my family, whatever it is. Especially with your AAA people, because you know these people well. Okay? So, I'm a big proponent of saying this, and you should write this down so you have it, and you should paste it in front of yourself so you can see it all the time. Staying in touch is staying in business.
Yeah.
Staying in touch is staying in business. Okay? So what's another objective? So Lindsay, you said travel, right? Where do you want to go?
I've never been out of the country, so I want to go to Mexico, I want to go to the Caribbean, Europe.
Those are big places. Where?
Specifically,
Yeah.
Antigua.
Okay. So this is what I'm saying. The more specific you get, the more you'll be drawn to it, because this is what you want to remember, is whatever you want wants you. But if you're not clear about what you want, you never get it. See, it's like saying, I want a new red car. I really want a new red car. I want a really red new car. You know, oh, did you?
Motivator, yeah.
Oh, good. What'd you get?
FJ Cruiser.
Nice.
So I'm like, okay, honey, you got a car payment now.
Yeah.
A little harder.
The point is saying you want a new red car, you have to be specific in what you want to say, because if you really want the red Ferrari, but you don't say Ferrari, you end up with the Pinto. But it's a red one. So you have to be very specific about what it is that you want. That way, whatever you want wants you. It's just simply a law of attraction. I'm sure by now you've watched The Secret. Okay? No?
We haven't.
Homework.
We haven't.
And so,
You're gonna love it.
I know. It's really. It's. I forgot all about it until you said that. It's
Yeah.
really a good one to watch. Over and over.
Fabulous.
well, you
A
know,
little board that you get every day from of it's
Yeah.
words for the wise.
you know, remember they talked about the gratitude rock? And I can tell you, people all the time when I say, have you, and I said, do you have a gratitude rock? And they go, no. What's my point of asking that question, do you think?
Just seeing if they're following it. Or,
Yeah. You were just given information on something to do that produced results, but you know what? You want to do it your way and fail.
Yeah.
But where's my briefcase? Where's my bag? Is it in the front?
I wanted you to, while you're doing that, I just recently saw some information from some psychologists that's incredibly excited that
Might be in here.
I don't think so.
Briefcase? Might be in Don's office. Thank you.
any stress that you have in your life, on every single day.
Totally makes sense.
I know you find it. So I thought that was surprising.
Yeah,
I looked
that
at
really
that it
makes sense.
overrides it.
Yeah.
So
See? So when you do this, you know, when you see something like The Secret and they tell you to do something, it's not like, oh, you know, you have to be on the lookout for these ideas, because one little idea can shift the whole course of the way you go about doing your business all day long. You'll see and read about it when you there it is. You found it. Can you find that compartment will have the Crown Royal bag in it, please? And you'll see about the butterfly effect. You ever heard of the butterfly effect? You have?
What's that mean?
Okay. So back in the early 60s, a climatologist at MIT did a study, and he was doing weather forecasting. Part of the weather forecasting that he was doing, he rounded off the number to 506.721, and he just knocked off to 721. Did it throw off his entire forecast?
Maybe not. Yeah.
Want a lifeline call? So, yeah, it threw off the whole forecast. All right? And so, essentially, what he was saying was this, and he wrote a paper on it that said, does a butterfly who flaps his wings in Brazil cause a tornado in Texas? And the answer is yes. One small change has a dramatic impact on everything that we do. Let me give you an idea real world-wise. I was telling you about the gentleman who's the financial planner. So early on when he was training with me, he said one day, Roger, he says, I was having one of my very worst days ever in business. I had so many issues that came up and problems and clients who were upset, and he said, but you know what? I committed to making 15 minutes more of calls, and I gave you my word that I would do it, and I knew that you were going to hold me accountable to it. Long story short, he makes 15 minutes worth of calls to 5 people. And he schedules 5 appointments. He said, any other day before I knew you, I'd have just gone home. Now, those 5 people have turned into 35. So think about the butterfly effect. What if he had just done what he always did and called it a day? But he goes, no, this is the 1%,
Yeah.
15 minutes of calls, I'm making 5 more calls, and he was done, actually he told me, in 12 minutes. And he scheduled 5 appointments, those have morphed into 35 people. So the butterfly effect is real simple. Every time you find a reason not to do something, I encourage you to find a reason to do it. Because one small look over takes away big results. Takes away very, very big results. Okay? So let's look at number 3. Deploy use of time management, your best friend. Ah, Lorelei. Always pushing that 800-pound rock uphill, huh?
Yeah, just too many things to do, too many people to take care of.
Uh-huh. So,
I think you guys will get a kick out of this. I just thought of it when you said it. Where is that? You said it, now it got me going, so I gotta...
oh yeah. I fly a lot. You know what, with these guys?
Yeah.
With about 165 of my best friends. You ever seen these before? Uh-huh. See this part down here? You know what that is? What is it?
Put the mask on so it's for yourself before you hop on the ground.
Uh-huh. Now, have you ever been on an aircraft when these have deployed? I have several times. And do you know what? People are told what to do, and what do they do? Just the exact opposite. So here's the
With their
message.
kids and do, yeah.
If you don't put the mask on yourself first, you can't take care of those people that you say that you love. So let me tell you something about giving your time to people, if I may. In a business model, do you let people steal money out of your purse? How come you let them steal your time?
You, under the guise of caring,
Uh-huh.
you know,
Yeah.
then brings your day down to you just heard somebody else's horror story.
Right.
That happened, and, you know, sets you back another hour in your day.
So this is, we were having this discussion, Keller and I were having this discussion the other day. I said, look, it's an 80-20 rule. And this is the way that it works. 80% of the people that you might tell your problems to don't even care that you have them. The 20% that listen are just pleased that your problems are bigger than theirs. And then it becomes this. God, if you think that's bad, listen to this. Point that I'm making here about time, it gets right away from you. But here's the interesting thing about time. I refer to it, you might want to write this down for yourself. It's an irreplaceable fragment of eternity. Time is an irreplaceable fragment of eternity. Once it's spent, it's spent. You can't do anything with it other than spend it. Can't draw interest on it, can't bank it. Only thing you can do is spend it, so spend it wisely. So these people, and here's the unconscious thing that happens. See, people come to you and they go, I got this problem, I got this situation. And I should remind everybody, you're not the idiot whisperer. So you're not being paid to listen to their stuff. Because the time that you have devoted the kindness to listen to them and even give them your best advice, they come back to you the next week and they ask you what?
Same thing.
Same thing. And you go, you're scratching your head saying, didn't we have this discussion last week? Yeah, but you didn't do anything about it. So, I want you to do something with your time. Please write this down. Be selfish with your time to and for yourself. Be selfish with your time to and for yourself. Put that oxygen mask on yourself. That make good sense to you?
It does, but,
Yeah, go ahead.
well, it's just, again, it's just time management, not having enough time in the day and too many things on your plate,
Okay, so
Business has to take priority and it seldom does.
So let's do it this way. So how did Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, Mother Teresa, Gandhi, how do they manage to accomplish so much in their life?
Focus.
Focus. Can I give you another acronym? Ready? Follow one course until successful. Follow one course until successful.
Can I say something?
Yeah, please.
When we were talking about serving our time, that just becomes a bad habit.
It does.
It's just a bad
does.
habit because then it takes away everything from your day. And there are certain people
Well, it
that
brings you down too, sucks the life out
it's
of you.
horrible.
Yeah,
And then before
yeah.
you know it, you look at the clock and you go, oh my God, the day's over. And then you leave and you're depressed. And then on top of that, you have people that come to work. The truth of the matter is either they have a gazillion dollars, they have a mate that has more than enough money, or they
Those are
can't
the
even-
office.
Right, and
coffee
they're the ones,
drinkers, yeah.
those are the ones that want to tell you and spend all your time talking about their problems that they really don't want to fix. Because if they fix them, then
Yeah.
there's nothing else to talk about. So then it's hard just to say very nicely, this is really great, I'm sorry that I have to go do something, and then you walk away. I mean, and they're in every office.
Yeah.
So the best thing to do is to remember, time, you got to make friends with time. Got to make friends
Follow one course
until successful. See, this is all getting into building a sustainable business model, but you see the value. First of all, you have to have a sustainable mindset. Otherwise, you're like the hamster. You're running in this wheel going 90 miles an hour and you're not getting anywhere. And you're just frustrated and confused. And what do we always say? I don't have enough of time. So now you've watched The Secret, right? And I can tell you from the psychology end of things, if you keep telling yourself what you don't have, you'll never have it. So, as an example, you say thousands of times, I don't have enough time, 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 right? I say, time is my best friend. I work my plan, and I plan my work. It's something, now I know this sounds, you might even say, that sounds too simple. Well, have you ever noticed life is kind of simple? It's just that we complicate it.
and control your thinking. It's just
Probably for the first time in your life. For the very first time in your life, you get an opportunity to go, I'm in charge of my destiny. It doesn't matter what's going on out there. It just matters what's going on between my ears. Because you 25-year veteran and 1,000 years. She doesn't like to say the number. But 1,000 years. She's one of those 00 agents. In fact, I just saw someone the other day. The first time I've ever actually met somebody that had a lower DRE number than you. They were an 00, they were a 0038.
That's really, yeah.
Yeah,
that's really
because she's a 0049.
oh gosh.
Okay? Well, I always tell the story. I said, look,
Why don't you just tell everybody how old I am?
I know. Let's see.
All I can say to that
When
is
was the
very
board created?
Oh,
Let's see.
thanks,
Yeah.
thanks.
no, I told her actually I said, actually the truth is that right after she left grammar school, she went right into real estate school, skipped high school.
I was just about that green.
We could be in those days.
Yeah.
I mean,
There wasn't any checks and balances
No.
or anything. If you could
You're
talk to
18.
people, you could do well in the business.
Yes.
license when you're 18.
So this is the perfect acronym to use for yourself. You got to follow one course until successful and stick to it, because too many times you're looking for this big immediate response. It doesn't happen after a week and you go, oh, I knew this wasn't going to work.
Throw it out.
And you throw it out. So because you saw The Secret, the genie says, your wish is my command. Okay, you didn't want it to work? Good. I'll make sure it doesn't. Stop doing what you're doing.
Control your speaking too.
You must control the words that come from your mouth, okay? My very first trainer was Zig Ziglar.
Of course.
And he crossed over here last November. But that was in '77. And I begged for him to train me. And he did for 18 months. And it was pretty phenomenal because he would share things, but you would listen to them and he goes, this will be of no value unless you put it into practice. So one day he says, there's no traffic jam on the extra mile. And I went, wow. And he goes, if you're not willing to do 1% to 2% better for your suspects and your prospects, they'll find somebody else who will. But if you want to build a lifelong relationship with people, go the extra mile, because there's no traffic jam there. Right? So now you begin to see the value of that 1% better. Okay, so I reach out to those 10 people on a daily basis. Nothing deters me from doing this. And we encounter too many distractions. And you need to make yourself unavailable. You need to make yourself unavailable. Now what has happened, realtors as a group, not you individually, have shot themselves in the foot. Because everybody started advertising 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Now, Joe Public out there doesn't know that that's not your work schedule. They just see this and they get inundated with it and they believe that you should be on call 24/7. And then the newer, what I'm told, the newer hip, slick, and cool generation says, well, if I don't get a call back in 15 minutes, I'm going to find somebody else. Well, go find somebody else, because you know what? I don't want to work with you. So you get a choice now. Either you're chasing the business or you let your prospects come to you. Okay? And when they come to you, it's because you brand yourself and you distinct yourself from your competition. Look, if you put a postcard out there and you got, look what I just listed, and there's a Roman Colosseum, you kind of go, well, that's kind of cool. That's neat. Right? You know, and people lean toward, they're gonna hold that, because I get as much junk mail comes to my home as you do. And anything with a barcode goes into the shredder. You know, we live out in the Almaden Valley area, and I don't know how many #1 agents can be in the Almaden Valley area, you know?
It's so true.
You know, it's like, wait a minute, I'm #1, no, I'm #1, I'm #1, I'm the #1 team, we're #1 team. You know, I'm so tired of hearing about you being #1. What are you doing for me? If you keep your focus on being client-centered rather than me, people will pay attention. Because, well, so what, you're the #1 agent, what does that mean? What does that mean? I mean, I can come up with all sorts of scenarios for that title, but show me the agent that is willing to do something different, Dos Equis-wise, and brand themselves into what you can do for them. It's like, you ever gone to a networking meeting? You ever been to a networking group? Isn't it amazing? People come up and they see, oh, Lorelei, hi, my name's Roger. You know anybody looking to buy or sell a house?
It's expected that everybody is there.
Going to do that.
Prospect. Yeah.
So years ago, years and years ago, when I was living in Southern California, I would never go to these things, and I'd advise people not to go to them. And I started something called a net weaving meeting. Now, is there a difference? Yeah, because now you're going, well, what's net weaving? Net weaving is when you go to a meeting and you got a name tag on, and I go, Lorelei, my name is Roger. Who do you work with? You say, Coldwell Banker. And I go, great. How can I help you grow your business? Look how it just shifted.
Yeah.
Oh my God, somebody wants to help me do something? And all of a sudden, a conversation ensues. Isn't that nice? Go back to always what works. You don't have the right to ask anybody for business until you've established somewhat of a rapport. Okay? So what's another time management thing? I'm going to give you the biggest and most valuable tool you can use. You need to start saying no. No. Not followed by, you know, when somebody wants you to do something, they almost shame you into it, don't they? Right? So when people ask me a lot of times, I say no, followed by, I won't do that. Not that I can't do that, because if you say, no, I can't do that, they go, well, come on, yeah, you can't. And that starts that and more of the guilt trip. I was raised Catholic, so I understand guilt perfectly. So it's no, I can't do that. They don't question that. There's no place to go with it.
You mean, no, you won't do that?
No, I can't do it.
Okay. I thought you just said if you say, no, I can't do that, then they'll question you. Then you said, no, I won't do that.
Yes,
and-
yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I got that one confused.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I won't do it. Yeah.
That's what happens when you've been in the business.
Yeah, right, thank you.
That's a good listener.
She's my biggest fan and my best critic. And both of those have equal value to me. Number 4 is monitor. Okay, what gets measured gets managed. I don't know if you're familiar with the name Peter Drucker. He's the leading management guru. It sounds make kind of sense, doesn't it? But people don't want to measure things. Well, if I can't measure them, how can I manage them? If I can't measure the effectiveness of my telephone calls I'm making each day, then I can't manage them, right? Because there are going to be some people, I guarantee you, as you go through your list, Lorelei, you need to take off the list. You need to take them off the list. Because then again, understand, all those things you talked about earlier, about all the rewards and the money and travel and all the kind of cool things that you want to have, more time for yourself, is all based upon one thing: how well you manage your time. So, this means distractions. This means distractions. Spending time on Facebook and all that other kind of stuff becomes a big distraction. Okay? There's a way.
I haven't done Facebook much.
Okay.
I mean, I have the site and all that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I find that now I'm feeling like I'm really missing the boat because I'm not spending time on it, and there's all these touches you can do.
Well, there's a way to use Facebook
For business.
Yeah.
in a way that serves you. But most of this stuff, it's extraneous. I cannot tell you, many times at the end of the day, somebody will come up to me at the end of the day and say, "What did you hear about this or this or that?" And I go, "No." And so it used to bother me. I was thinking I wasn't in the loop until I turned it around. It's like your hand has two sides, and I go, you know what? Whatever is of extreme urgency and importance will find me. And I trust that process. Okay? I trust that process. See, what happens is people are inundated now. You know, we hear one more word about Flight 370, and it's like, really?
Oh, God.
You know?
Sure.
You know, and if you listen to CNN, which I don't, but every once in a while I kind of just get the glimpse of it, right? Because CNN is constantly negative news.
Yeah.
You know, how many scenarios can you have?
Sensationalized, yeah.
You know, but it goes on with everything. You know, and what happens with Facebook is all of a sudden, you know, people are taking a picture of, you know, a cocktail or a bottle of wine or this. And I go, really?
Lunch.
Really? That's why I turned my phone off so that those pings wouldn't hit my phone, because it was wasting my time. And it became a distraction. So is there a way to use it for business? Absolutely. It's extremely powerful.
Again, I guess it's something you have to put into a little format. You have to
Yes.
do it between 10 and 11 every day, or if it's 10 and 11 at night that you want to do that.
You know, you do a couple of little
Limiting
boxes.
time.
Do a half hour in the morning,
Yeah.
half hour at night. That's it.
Yeah.
Or 20 minutes or 15 minutes. And the ones that, you know, I used to get people saying, "You're not responding to my Facebook things." And I go, I don't know how to tell you this,
Send
but
me an email if
but you
you're-
know,
yeah.
you taking a picture of your sandwich doesn't.
Doesn't do anything for me.
Then you got, and it's not just one person doing it, and all of a sudden you got hundreds of people doing it.
And it's hard to sift through. It's just, you see all of that stuff and then there's the time suck because you're filtering through all of it.
Yep.
then what
And
do
it's
you
taking
read
your
of-
mind, excuse me.
Yeah, what do
Yeah.
you read of substance?
So what you want to do, and what I strongly suggest that you do, is you create a business page. See? You do a business page.
Write that down, honey.
You need a personal page for a business page.
Yeah.
But you stay top of mind for
Yeah.
a business page.
Yeah. And then people aren't putting all that stuff on your business page. And if they do, you call them and say, don't do that anymore. Because if you do, I'm going to unfriend you. You know, I mean, you got to just understand, it's your time. Don't let people usurp it, steal it, get it away, anything else. That's the one thing that we have in total abundance, and we get to use it throughout the entire day. Okay? What's another item under monitor?
I would say monitoring, how shall I put this? In this business, you get more negative information than what you do positive information.
Yep.
So monitor what you choose to hold on to and get rid of the rest. Because it's been my experience that when I go to business meetings and stuff, they'll start doing stats and they do inventory and this, that, and it's all negative. If you truly listen
I
to
have the
it,
hardest time going to our office.
Yeah,
with
it's
the
all
same thing.
negative.
I don't want to hear
right.
who else is doing really well, and I mean, all of that's
Right,
great
but
to
it's-
share, but it doesn't
But,
help
but it's
your day.
but it's negative, so it's kind of like I finally had this epiphany a while back, and I said, from now on, the only business that's going to be created is my motivation and my self-assurance that I know what I know how to do and I do it really well. Interest rates mean nothing to me, inventory means nothing to me. People will always buy, people will always sell. I just need to get out there and let people know who I am, because if they don't know who I am, how can I ever sell them anything? And all the rest of it, and it means from all the big managers, I mean, I've listened and it's like, I'm so depressed. If you listen how they give these stats and they
I'm
give
so
this
glad
and
you
that-
shared that, because I feel like, you know, I'm always like, oh, what's wrong with me that I can't
No.
just blow this all up? You
No,
know?
it's true.
No.
And so then how can you possibly walk out of a meeting or any type of a, call it like what is it, not a networking, but it should be something else, when all you've heard is the doom and gloom, oh, the interest rates, oh, the ceiling on this loan is this, oh, you know, this is terrible, and oh, this is the stocks did this, and on and on and on, and then, oh my God, we don't have enough inventory, oh my God, we have multiple offers, oh my God, everything is an oh my God, when the truth of the matter is, if you have all of the necessary 1%, you're gonna work it out.
Yeah.
So here's another thing that you want to take a look at relative to monitoring thing, and what Carolyn is saying is right, and you know, I'm glad that you see the value to it. And now you get confirmation, okay? And the point is that when it comes to statistical data, I want to know about it, but I don't want to be inundated about it. It's okay to know because it's a good piece that you can pass on to potential clients. Okay? But the rest of the rhetoric that goes with it, and Carolyn has a very humorous line. She goes, you know, I'm about ready to start cleaning out my purse. And that's about how...
Focus on something else.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. So the value is to know what's going on, okay? But I don't need the rhetoric behind it because all too often it's such dated material. Somebody's drawing a reference to what it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Like, who cares? Who really cares? I want to know the relevance of what's happening now and move forward from there. But still, the point is simply this. Regardless of what the market conditions are, people are always going to buy and sell. They're going to buy and sell, regardless. So the one question that is always asked is that, why do you prospect? And the answer is what?
Build your connections.
Okay.
Build your business.
Build a database. That's the purpose of prospecting, is to build the database. Now, if you want to start working smart rather than hard, and you want to stop getting stressed and giving yourself headaches by banging your head against the wall, you build a database, right? So everybody you come into contact with, like earlier, Lindsay, I said, okay, 100 people, right? And then, if you're using your mom's database, then you need to go through all that stuff and take every name that you've got, and you've got to categorize them. Because when you do this, and you want to, say, double your income, which is always reasonable, every year, every research study that I've ever read and been part of tells us a person can make between 2 and 2.5 times what they made last year this year. Same office they're working in, same area they're marketing to, but because they're reaching out to people on a more consistent basis. And I know the first thing that happens, if somebody's a AAA client and you have reached out to them and you haven't heard anything back, then your ego gets in the way.
That's so true.
See?
Oh, they hated me. Oh my God, they don't want to talk to me. But
why aren't they returning my calls? Well, because they have a busy
they
life.
must be mad at me.
Just,
All
yeah,
these
yeah.
anxiety things that we build.
I mean, every agent
Your own self-therapy session.
Every agent I have ever talked to always has a scenario that goes with it. They've followed up with this person, they've done this and this. Well, they haven't called me back. They said they were going to call me back, or they found another agent, or they did this, or they bought another house someplace else. They just ramrodded me again. And then all of a sudden you get the call a week and a half later and they go, I'm so sorry, there was an emergency in the family and I had to take care of it, and I apologize for not following up and calling you. And you go,
So do you leave messages when you call? Is that when you're doing cold calling, do you guys leave messages, or do you just wait to talk to people?
cold call or warm call?
Well, lukewarm.
Okay, the lukewarm, always leave a message. And do yourself a favor. When you talk on the phone, if you need to put a mirror in front of yourself, see what you're doing right now, Lindsay? You're smiling. And when
It's amazing how that works on the phone. That's something I learned early on.
Yeah.
It just changes the tone of your voice. And
yeah,
everything.
the moment you smile and say, good morning, hi Lorelei, it's Roger, I'm just reaching out to you. Look at today, we got some rain, but we really needed it. I'd love to hear from you. Give me a call when you pick up the message. And then you leave your number.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to talking with you. And you say it because you got a smile on your face, and that person goes, wow.
I want to talk to them.
Yeah. A lot of times when I leave messages for people, I do that. I'm always smiling when I leave the message. One of the things that comes through is they go, are you always this happy? Yeah, pretty much. So, because if you come across the other way and you do it without a smile, hi, this is Roger.
I would call banker.
Yeah, oh God, please don't be home.
Oh God, they didn't answer. Thank God.
Yeah, bye. So true.
So you take those you take those 100 people, Lorelei, and I'm sure your mom's going to hand them off to you and say, categorize these people. Good.
She's willing. I'm the weight on the whole program.
Because she's new.
She's fresh and young and ambitious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want
She doesn't know how to be discouraged.
But I want you to know what she's experiencing was once you.
Oh, I remember.
Okay? So now we need to remember what that's about.
You're hungry, huh? Yeah.
She hasn't been contaminated yet.
So one of the things I talk about,
Was it $8 meals out of a baggie in the back of the car all those years?
so one of the things I talk about is passion, So people will say, well, I don't know what I'm passionate about. And I go, yeah, you do. And they argue with me, no, I don't. And I go, yes, you do. And I said, let me tell you something. How do you find your passion? This is a really easy answer. Inventory your talents. Inventory your talents.
Yeah.
So if I say, what are you really, really good at? And you go, you know what, I'm just a terrific social prospector. I meet people easily, I make friends with people. Then I'm going to tell you, you need to go where your prospects go. Your time is ill spent going to marketing meeting after marketing meeting after marketing meeting when you're hearing nothing but doom and gloom.
There's nobody that's going to buy or sell from you.
Thank you.
Those marketing
Yeah.
meetings. So.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, nobody.
Same thing with the office meeting. It's like, well, send us an email. What you want us to know.
Well, this is another thing. Now, and I hear this all the time. I talk to managers all the time. I can't get my people to come to meetings. So this was the question. I go, well, what do you do to make them exciting? What do you do? And they have the deer in the headlights look. Like, oh, I'm supposed to do that?
They're just supposed to come because they work for me.
Thank you. Yeah, they're supposed to show up. Okay? And I can tell you that the moment a manager makes the meeting exciting, people want to come. When they're unexciting, people don't want to come. You know, they kind of just go, well, you know, I guess I got to go to the meeting. Right? So, my idea is be a disruptor. Cause people to listen. So how do you say, well, what do I do? So, you know, one of the things I do each time I do all my training workshops and everything, and they're ongoing things, so when we start off, I always like to get feedback from people for the last 2 weeks, what they've been doing. So I go, Lorelei, what miracles did you create in the last 2 weeks? And they start, oh, miracles. But once you start thinking in terms of miracles, they start showing up in your life.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're thinking in that mindset framework. And what are miracles? Things that shouldn't happen but happened anyway. Right? And you will colloquially term it this way. It came out of the blue. It didn't come out of any blue. At some level, you put the intention out there. And it came racing back to you. See? So, I encourage people to take a Post-it. And on the sticky part of it, in small letters, write major blessings. Cut it off and put it in the bottom right-hand corner of your rear view mirror. And people always say, why? And I go, well, what do you use your rear view mirror for? Well, see who's behind me. You know, see if there's a cop behind me. You know, and I go, well, since I have that message up there, I'm just looking for God's blessings to chase me down and overtake me. Which one do you want? Right? So is there something to be said for a positive mindset? Absolutely. Absolutely. And the more positive you are about what you expect to have happen, happens. And conversely as well. Okay, there's a story here. I got to hear it. Come on.
No. Parking karma.
Oh, what about it?
Always drive up right in front of anywhere. My whole family's always said, well, you know, I'm like, well, we don't have to worry. We'll have a parking place in front. We always do. So it's like we've always talked about how we need to make that go into the rest of our lives.
Okay,
you know?
so here's a perfect here's a perfect example. Now you have something, you go, this works. And it's just not going to work for parking spaces, it works for everything that you want to do in your life. It's yes, and it's beyond optimism. See, what you want to realize is your thoughts are energy.
Power of the mind again. Yeah.
You know, your thoughts are energy. And every thought you think goes racing out into the universe, and whether it's negative or positive, it'll come back at the same lightning speed. So be careful what you think, because what you think about, you bring about.
Well, and rehashing, there's a saying I wish I could repeat it verbatim that I have above my desk that basically says that, you know, you have to let go of the past. You have to let go of those negative things like that ex-boyfriend or the, you know, whatever
it doesn't matter,
that process through your mind that take your positive.
Yeah.
You know.
And listen, if I sat down with you just one-on-one, we would be, and I'd say, tell me your biggest, most painful thing in your life. And we'd both be in tears. You know? But the interesting thing about human beings is we're very, very resilient people. We're very resilient. And that's to our benefit. That's to our benefit because it begins to show you the strength of character that you have. Because every time, you know, we talk about setbacks, are they really setbacks or setups? Because most people want to run away from pain because we are pain averting machineries. We are. We seek pleasure. Okay, well if you want more pleasure, then think more pleasurable thoughts, right? You know, there's going to be all these things. You're taking care of an elderly mom right now, okay? And so, you know, my advice to you is this. I don't have
I
mine.
spent a lot of negative thoughts on it. I spent,
No.
she can't hear, so I can always say, damn it, you're driving me crazy. You know, all these kinds of things that I realize are just taking a space of time.
And it's just making it more negative, and
Yeah.
it's just
Okay.
very,
And I've always thought about it this way, okay? It's like when I see like an elderly person walking across the street and people banging their horns and everything, and she'll tell you, there are times I get out of the car, put the emergency lights on, and I'll walk this person across the street. Because you know what? That might be me someday.
I know.
And I hope somebody steps up and does the exact same thing, right? So that part of gratitude washes over into every part of our life. And gratitude of helping someone out who may be a little less fortunate for a few minutes, or sharing a smile with them, or an encouraging word is huge. And you know what the cool thing about it is? It makes us feel better. I was standing down at Trader Joe's a couple of weeks ago, and there was an elderly lady behind me, and she had some bananas in her hands. And she was counting the change in her coin purse. And then she was looking and counting the bananas, and I could see the expression on her face like she didn't have enough money. So I'm standing there, and I'm talking to the fellow who's checking me out, and I said, how much are those bananas that she has? And he goes, $1.80 or something. I said, just put it on my bill, okay? And he goes, well, you're a gentleman and a scholar. And I go, well, I don't know about the scholar part, but okay, I'll take the gentleman thing. And so I walked away, and I was standing over by the side to see what she was going to do. And just as she started to open her mouth, that she didn't know if she had enough money and how much were they, and he goes, it's taken care of. That gentleman over there paid for your bananas. And you should have seen her just lit up, right?
I have a story actually kind of similar. I went to Smart and Final just to pick up some eggs or something before getting over to their house. And I get in the line and I put my stuff down on the belt, and an elderly couple come up behind me, and she looks and she's like, oh, I needed some eggs, like, oh, and starts looking over her shoulder. So the person in front of me had a bunch of stuff out on the belt, so I was like, oh, it's okay, I'll go over and grab some. Then I had my cash in my hand, and I didn't realize as I ran back to get her eggs and came and put them on the belt for her, she was thinking the other thing. The guy starts ringing up my stuff, and I don't have my cash in my hand. And so I'm like, oh no, oh my God. And everyone in line with me starts looking around on the ground, so I ran back to where it was, and there it was on the ground.
See?
So it's kind of like, yeah. Sequence of events.
Well, yes, there is a sequence of events that's happened, but it also shows you that when your heart and your intentions are in the right place, even though you may have, misplaced something along the line, it shows up for you.
Yep.
You know, so the gratitude is a critically important part of what we do. And the more gratitude that you show, a simple thank you, that was really kind of you, whatever it is, and when it's genuinely delivered, people respond to it in a very constructive and positive way. Yeah, good story. Good story.
That's a really heartwarming story.
Okay, what's another monitor issue? What else I know what we have here. Why don't you pass those back to Lorelei so she can get a gratitude rock. And Lindsay. Even though you haven't seen The Secret yet, you will.
Yeah, we're heading to LA on Friday, and I just realized I have it on tape, so this is perfect thing to do driving down there.
You already have one?
You tape?
Perfect.
I actually have two. So Roger gave me one. I have that one in my purse. But I do have one that I picked up myself. I put it in my makeup bag because it's something that I use every day.
You look at it every day. then.
Every
Yeah.
single day. So
Yeah.
I take it out every morning.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, you're welcome.
And what it serves as is just a nice, because you remember the story from The Secret, it just it serves as a nice conscious reminder, that, how many things that we need to have gratitude for, that we are so blessed, and you hear people complain You know, I remember hearing stories of people go, I got a hole in the sole of my shoe, and oh my God, I need to get these things sold, and then. Then it all shifts. It shifts when you see the man with no feet. You go, really? Really? And so all of a sudden, I think we need to do one thing that's important to our growth and the personal level and in our business model, which is going to sound abstract, but it's not at all. We need to be grateful for everything that goes on. The more gratitude you have for it, the stronger our character becomes. So, page number 3. Number 5 is analyze, making adjustments. So this is what I suggest. Every 2 weeks, analyze what you've been doing. Take a look at how your database is going, how you're contacting people every 2 weeks. Why do I say every 2 weeks? Because time is our friend, and you can make adjustments.
So then as part of that, part of monitoring is keeping a tally.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So remember, it's not the amount of contacts that you're making, it's the amount of connections. Big difference between contacting and connecting. And most people will always talk to you about contacting. How many contacts did you make? So what you're playing there is, well, let's throw a bunch of crap against the wall and see what sticks. Versus reaching out and connecting with people. I don't care if you made 50 calls, I'm more concerned if you made 3 good contacts. That's the most important part. And when you go through your list, like we've talked about, and these people who love you and like you and want to talk to you anyway, that's a good thing. Okay? Letter B is to analyze data. Just take a look at your data, analyze it a little bit. You don't need to be an expert in it. Just take a look at what's working and what isn't working. You can't do this on a quarterly basis, because how far behind the curve will you be?
Yeah.
Way behind the curve. In real estate, as in most businesses, you got to look 90 to 180 days down the road. See, we've just about burned through the first quarter. Coming up on the second quarter. Now, if you want the second quarter to be any different than the first quarter, you need to analyze what happened, right? Where do I need to adjust? Where do I need to adjust? Not the market's going to adjust. The market doesn't care. Market doesn't care if you make another call. Real estate market is not going to call you up tomorrow morning and say, by the way, you haven't made any calls in the last week. You haven't reached out to anybody. You haven't sent any cards out. You haven't followed up with any of your prospects. Doesn't care. Doesn't care. Letter C is to measure the results, right? What we talked about. What gets measured gets managed. When you can measure your results, you can manage the data. All those 3 things, analyzing of data and measuring of the results, all fall into the analyzation process, which is number 5. So now you have a complete and thorough sustainable business model you can work with, because those are the keys. Everything is around that. One flows into the other. And then for the fun of it, I just put down this. The greatest motivating factor in human nature is. What do you think it is, Lindsay? What's the greatest motivating factor in human nature?
Happiness?
Happiness. What else?
Satisfaction.
Satisfaction. Fear of loss.
Reward.
Reward. So the greatest motivating factor in human nature is visible results. Visible results.
An appointment,
An appointment,
a listing.
a listing, a closing. Now,
You conquered it, that you also conquered something that I think motivating is that I finally conquered something that I thought that I couldn't do.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you say that encapsulate.
no, it is visible. It's a visible result. When you conquer something in terms of either you made a phone call, where you did something that you had not previously done before.
Right.
Okay?
Full
And
result.
it worked.
And it worked. And you go, wow, look at that.
Overcoming the fear. Yeah.
It can be overcoming of a fear.
Obstacles.
Doesn't matter.
Exactly.
But the point is, it's a visible result. That's our greatest motivating factor. Example I said here, in real estate terms, when's the best time to sell a house?
Always. Anytime.
Think about what I just said. A visible result. So the best time to sell a house is right after you have sold one.
When it's closed.
Right? Right after you've sold it. Because at that juncture, what happens? You're elated, you're excited, you're over the top. Oh, I love this job. I'm going to make $1 jillion at it. Right?
Then the next day you're like,
Yeah. And the next day you're going, you know what, this was a pain in the ass escrow and I need a week off.
go to Mexico.
Yeah, let's go. Okay. When are we leaving? Okay. And so I just wanted to kind of share with you the ideas around a sustainable mindset and a business model, but it all begins with your mindset in the first place. So I'd like to take a moment just to bring Don up here because he wants to make just kind of a quick announcement on how you got invited here and what he's going to give you.
The rain must have kept a lot of people away.
No,
But,
geez, we left out. We got the private.
So what we wanted to do, though, is because Roger is my trainer and does a lot for us, give you a free book
Thank you.
that you can take and read. And the most important thing about the book is not reading it. The most important thing about the book is reading it and doing the exercises.
Advanced reader copy.
And well, advanced reader copy is more valuable than the actual launch. And so you're getting this before the world does.
Thank
They
you.
don't get it until June. But take the book, actually do the exercises, and it'll change your life. Read the book, put it down, and move on. It won't do anything for you, but be a good book to read. Okay. So it's important that you do that, and it's a free gift from us. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Don. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
As always, thank you.
And I want to make a comment about the book here. I did this and I wrote this in this format because I'm a pretty avid reader.
I like that. I noticed that just thumbing through it. It's great.
And one of the things that I've always done when I read books is I highlight and I write messages, my own interpretation in the margins, and there was never ever enough paper. And so anytime I'd insert a piece of paper, somehow it would always seemingly fall out, and you can't be stapling stuff in there, right? And I did everything I possibly could, so I said, okay, when I write this book, I want it to be a book that is rich in content, yet at the same time has challenging exercises so that you take the time to think about what is it I really want, what is my big dream, how do I manifest it, what are the steps that I take, what's the DARE principle. All these things fall into place. So that's why, and another reason, I highly encourage people not to loan their books out because I have no money.
Never see him
You
again.
never see them again. So here's another caveat. You don't want anybody to see what your answers are. So you can do what I do. Anytime somebody wants to borrow a book, I always say no, and if you can't afford one, I'll buy it for you. Otherwise, go get it yourself. Right? So there are some challenging exercises in there, and if you'd like me to autograph it for you when we're done here, I'll be happy to do that for you. So any questions you have for me before we adjourn? Anything you got?
No, this is great.
You good?
So now the Palmieri group is coaching, basically.
Well, I'm a speaker. I'm a speaker and a trainer, and been doing this since 1978. Been in front of a little over 1 million people around the world, and so wrote this book, which is kind of the next big thing in the Palmieri group. Carolyn does strategic coaching as well because she's got such a vast background in real estate, and so that's what I do. Yes, and that's what we've been doing. Yeah.
I really enjoyed this. Thank you very much.
Come back.
Yeah.
Please come back.